You are kneeling in the sand. Your knees are on fire. Every grain beneath you feels like a blade. An iron collar bites into your neck so tightly that swallowing feels impossible. A heavy chain runs from your collar to the women beside you, 11 of them. You can hear their breathing. Shallow, broken. One is quietly crying. Another is whispering a prayer in a language you don't understand. Then a shadow falls over you. For half a second, there is relief from the sun. Then, hands seize your face. Your jaw is forced open. Fingers push against your teeth, your gums, the back of your throat. You gag. He doesn't stop. He checks your tongue for disease, pulls down your lip like you're an animal at auction, examines your eyes, your skin, your body, because that is what you are now. Merchandise. 12 days ago, you were the daughter of a village chief in the Sahel. 12 days ago, your mother called your name every morning. She is dead now. You watched it happen, and you kept walking, because the men with swords made it very clear. Stop moving, and you join her. In Arabic, there is a word for what you have become. Jariya. It's usually translated as slave girl, but that translation is a lie, a soft one. What the word really means is this: your body now belongs to someone else. Your future is whatever a buyer decides. Your past no longer exists. Coins change hands. This is the third time you've been sold this month. And where they are taking you, historians would spend centuries trying to pretend it never existed. This is the Arab slave trade. 14 million Africans, 13 centuries. A system so efficient at erasing human beings that almost no descendants remain to tell the story. Welcome to Hidden Secret Tales. Most people know the Atlantic slave trade. Ships, chains, plantations. 12 million Africans transported across the ocean over 400 years. There are museums, memorials, movies, school lessons, national apologies. But there was another slave trade. Older, longer, and by some measures, larger. The Arab slave trade began in the 7th century, following the rise of Islamic empires across North Africa and the Middle East. It did not end until the 20th century. Saudi Arabia officially abolished slavery in 1962. Mauritania followed in 1981. These are not ancient dates. These are within living memory. Between 650 AD and 1900 AD, an estimated 14 to 17 million Africans were taken from their homes and transported across the Sahara, the Red Sea, and the Indian Ocean. And yet, almost no one talks about it. Why? Because this trade was designed to leave nothing behind, and it succeeded. In the Americas today, there are more than 45 million people of African descent. Their existence keeps the memory alive. In the Middle East, after importing millions of Africans for over 1,000 years, there is almost nothing. Small, scattered Afro-Arab communities, fragments, shadows. Where are the descendants? The answer is the darkest part of this story. The men were castrated. This is not speculation. It is documented across centuries of Arabic, European, and African sources. Between 80 and 90% of enslaved African men were castrated. The procedure was performed at specific points along trade routes. Egyptian monasteries became infamous for it. Coptic Christian monks developed techniques that slightly improved survival rates. Slightly. For every man who survived, 3 to 5 died from blood loss, infection, or shock. If a trader needed 100 living eunuchs to sell, he might begin with 400 or 500 men. The rest died screaming in the sand. The logic was cold, but effective. Castrated men could not reproduce. They could not form families. They could not build communities. They could not leave descendants who might one day demand justice. They worked, they aged, they died, and they were replaced, generation after generation, for 1,300 years. But the women were spared castration, not out of mercy, because their bodies served a different purpose. Their fertility was valuable, and what happened to them is recorded only in euphemisms, in silences, in careful words written by men who believed the details were too shameful to describe openly. The machine that consumed Africa required constant feeding. Arab merchants were not raiders themselves. They were businessmen. They built trade networks that spanned continents. They supplied firearms, textiles, luxury goods, and salt. In exchange, human beings. African kingdoms were drawn into the system. Some grew rich from it. Entire economies became dependent on slave raids. Villages were attacked at dawn. Men who resisted were killed. Men who surrendered were sorted. The young and strong were taken for castration. The old were often killed on the spot. The women faced different calculations. Age mattered. Appearance mattered. Market preferences mattered. Girls between 13 and 25 were ideal. Ethiopian women commanded the highest prices across most markets. Certain features were considered desirable, others less so. Those deemed valuable received slightly better treatment during transport, not from compassion. Damaged merchandise sold for less. Families were torn apart immediately. Mothers from children, sisters from brothers, husbands from wives. European missionaries who witnessed these separations described scenes so horrific they haunted them for life. Screams that followed them across continents and decades. Those screams echoed across Africa for 13 centuries. Almost no one heard them. Then came the Sahara. The trans-Saharan routes were not journeys measured in miles, but in death. Caravans traveled for 2 to 3 months across the largest hot desert on Earth. Daytime temperatures exceeded 120 degrees Fahrenheit. At night, the cold could kill. Water was rationed. Camels drank first. Slaves drank what remained, if anything. Lips cracked. Tongues swelled. People went mad from thirst. Mortality rates were catastrophic. Between 20 and 30% died during the crossing. Some caravans lost more than half their human cargo. Those who collapsed were left behind, alive. The desert floor became marked by bones. European explorers described valleys where skulls were so numerous it was impossible not to step on them. Not ancient remains, recent ones, millions of people, reduced to unmarked skeletons beneath shifting sand. For the women who survived, arrival did not mean safety. It meant transformation. The slave markets of Cairo, Tunis, Tripoli, and Zanzibar were refined systems of evaluation. Teeth were examined first, skin, hair, body. European observers compared the process to livestock auctions, except worse. Behind screens, in private areas, the most valuable women were sold. Young virgins fetched prices equal to years of wages. Where did they go? Some entered harems. The Ottoman imperial harem held up to 2,000 women. Life inside was not luxury. It was political warfare. Women competed for survival. Favor, protection. Bearing a son could mean power. Failure meant invisibility. Others became domestic servants, with no right to refuse anything demanded of them. Islamic law offered limited protections after childbirth. Before that, they were property. Their children were legally free. And over generations, Their African heritage was absorbed, diluted, erased. This was the final erasure, not just of individuals, but of entire bloodlines. There was no dramatic abolition, no grand moral awakening. The trade faded slowly, under pressure, not repentance. British naval patrols closed routes. Colonial administrations suppressed markets. But the legacy remains. Absence. 14 million people. No monuments. No holidays. No mass remembrance. In 2020, archaeologists in Libya uncovered a mass grave. Hundreds of sub-Saharan Africans from the 18th or 19th century. No names, no descendants, just bones. Silent proof of a history the world chose to forget. Remember her, not as a statistic. Remember her as someone's daughter. Someone who had a name. Someone who laughed once. This is Hidden Secret Tales. We uncover the history that was buried on purpose. Because the past isn't dead. It's waiting in the dark for someone to remember.